Scenes of devastation unfolding right now in Turkey and Syria.
A disaster is unfolding in Turkey and Syria.
Some 23 million people could be affected.
Magnitude 7.8 earthquake has struck.
A rescue operation is continuing overnight in southern Turkey and northern Syria.
This is what the Turkish province of Kahramanmaraş looked like before once-in-a-century earthquakes hit the country. And this is what is left of it now. Spanning 10 southern Turkish provinces, the 7.7 and 7.6 magnitude quakes have affected over 13 million people, killing thousands and leaving scores more injured. But what makes these types of earthquakes rare, and why were they so devastating this time? First, we need to take a brief geology lesson. Türkiye sits on a zone known for frequent seismic activity. Most of the country rests on the Anatolian Plate, which, to its north, is bordered by the Eurasian Plate and by the Arabian Plate in its southeast. The Arabian Plate is pushing north, driving the Anatolian Plate into the immobile Eurasian Plate, and so is squeezing Türkiye to the west. That's right, the entire country. The epicenter was near the heavily populated province of Gaziantep, and at a relatively shallow depth of about 18 kilometers on the East Anatolian Fault, meaning seismic waves don't have to travel much to reach the surface, making the earth shake more. A majority of earthquakes over the last few centuries in Türkiye have occurred along the northern Anatolian Fault, which is why you may hear of fears of a quake hitting Istanbul. But in the Eastern Fault, stress has been building up for a long time. And if there's anything one knows about quakes, it's that the more time passes between tremblers, the more stress builds up and the deadlier the shake.
So that I think you can have very large earthquakes in southeastern Turkey. They might just happen sort of with a much larger time interval.
The severity was due to the fact that the East Anatolian Fault is a strike-slip fault. These solid rock plates are pushing up against each other across a vertical fault line, building stress until one slips in a horizontal motion, which releases a tremendous amount of strain. That in turn can trigger an earthquake. And this one was so massive that an expert says Türkiye moved 10 meters following the tremors. Another expert reckons the energy released by these kinds of natural disasters is exponentially higher than previous jolts.
Well, although we had more than 6,000 people were killed by the Kobe earthquake, 1995. The size of the Kobe earthquake is probably 1/15th of this Turkey earthquake.
What also makes the 2023 quake so unusual are the numerous powerful aftershocks, in particular the 7.6 magnitude one that struck within 9 hours of the primary jolt.
The first big main shock triggered the second large aftershock. But aftershock is not always smaller than the first main shock. Sometimes it becomes equal or bigger than the first large earthquake.
Experts say that likely impeded search and rescue operations.
I think in terms of the impact, the direct impact it will have on the rescue efforts, I think this is, fairly unprecedented.
The affected area of the earthquakes is vast, spanning at least 99,362 square kilometers across 10 provinces. That's bigger than some countries. The tremblers destroyed transport infrastructure, including airport runways like in Hatay, and major highways linking the provinces. These factors, as well as the remote nature of villages in the south, have hampered rescue operations, making it tricky for search personnel to reach affected areas. Compounding rescue obstacles are also the way the buildings collapsed. Experts refer to it as a pancake collapse, wherein floors fall on top of each other, making it difficult for rescue workers to extricate victims from the rubble. The timing of the first quake also served to drive up the death toll, striking at 4:30 a.m. on a Monday morning, when people were inside their homes sleeping, oblivious of the catastrophe that was going to befall them. Rescue teams are racing against time, as freezing temperatures have raised the risk of victims suffering from hypothermia. With rescue operations ongoing and thousands of lives upended, the road to recovery and normalcy for the victims seems long.